Sauron. Sauron, the Dark Lord of Mordor, has become synonymous with the concept of fantasy evil, and rightfully so. Unlike many villains who are driven by trauma or misguided ideals, Sauron is a purer form of malice, the corruption of what was once good into something irredeemably dark. Originally known as Mehran, Sauron began as one of the Maiar, angelic spirits created before the beginning of time. He was once the greatest smith in service to Aula, the divine craftsman. This origin makes his fall all the more significant. He wasn't born evil but chose it, seduced by the Dark Lord Morgoth's promises of order and power. His malice spans millennia, outlasting his own master Morgoth. After Morgoth's defeat, Sauron didn't repent, but instead took up his master's mantle, showing a dedication to darkness that few villains can match. In the Second Age, he appeared in a fair form as Annatar, Lord of Gifts, teaching the elves the craft of ring-making while secretly forging the One Ring to dominate all others. This willingness to spend centuries on his plans shows a level of dedication to evil that's almost admirable in its thoroughness. The One Ring itself is what makes Sauron truly terrible, his desire to dominate all free will. Unlike villains who merely want to kill or conquer, Sauron seeks to enslave the very souls of Middle-earth's peoples. The ring corrupts all who possess it, turning even the noblest hearts toward darkness. This subtle corruption is far more insidious than mere violence. Much like Unicron, who exists to consume all reality, Sauron's goal of total domination shows how the greatest villains often have the simplest, most terrifying motivations. Perhaps most frightening is Sauron's ability to twist truth into lies. When captured by the Númenóreans, he couldn't defeat them by force, so he corrupted them from within, convincing them that the Valar had deceived them and sought to enslave humanity. By exploiting their fears and ambitions, he turned them against their own gods, ultimately leading to the downfall of the greatest human civilization in Middle-earth. Sauron's influence extends beyond his physical presence. Even when disembodied after the last alliance defeated him, his shadow remained, slowly recovering strength over thousands of years. This patient evil, willing to wait centuries for revenge, makes him uniquely terrifying. The Leader. Samuel Stearns, better known as the Leader, is a unique kind of evil on our list. The evil of a mind unbound by ordinary human limitations or moral constraints. Beginning as a simple, intellectually unremarkable janitor at a chemical plant, Stearns was transformed by gamma radiation into a being of superhuman intelligence, with a grotesquely enlarged cranium. Unlike many villains who are driven by trauma or rage, the Leader is motivated by a cold, calculating desire to prove his superiority and reshape the world in his image. His intellect allows him to create technology centuries beyond current human capabilities. He's developed mind control devices, gamma bombs that can turn ordinary humans into monsters under his command, and even machines capable of bending time and space itself. This scientific genius is paired with a complete lack of ethical restraint. Human test subjects are merely data points in his experiments. The Leader's rivalry with the Hulk highlights what makes him truly evil. While both were transformed by gamma radiation, they are opposite extremes. Hulk gained limitless physical strength but struggles with reduced intelligence, while the Leader gained limitless intelligence but remains physically weak. This opposition fuels his obsession with defeating the Hulk, proving that mind is superior to matter. He doesn't just want to rob banks or rule a city. He wants to accelerate human evolution itself, creating a new world order with himself as the natural ruler of a transformed humanity. He sees ordinary humans as primitive beings who need to be uplifted or eliminated. One of his most chilling plots involved attempts to trigger worldwide gamma events that would kill millions, but create a new race of gamma-powered beings he could control. His willingness to sacrifice most of humanity for his vision shows a level of detachment that few villains can match. Bendy. Bendy the Demon appears at first glance to be nothing more than a cute cartoon character created by Henry Stein for Joey Drew Studios in the late 1920s. This black and white mascot with his devilish horns, pie-cut eyes, and mischievous grin was designed to charm audiences through cartoons and comic strips. He was even used as a spokestune for Breyer Label's Bacon Soup. But behind this innocent facade is something much darker. The true horror of Bendy is in the way this seemingly harmless cartoon character became twisted into something monstrous. Originally created from a child's drawing, Bendy underwent multiple iterations before evolving into the dancing demon we know today. Joey Drew, in his hunger for fame and success, took credit for Bendy's creation despite Henry being the true artist behind the character. What makes Bendy truly disturbing is how he represents the corruption of innocence. A character designed to bring joy to children was transformed into a nightmarish entity that hunts people through the abandoned halls of Joey Drew Studios. The ink that gave him life became a dark substance that consumed and corrupted everything it touched. Bendy's evil comes from his ability to shift between his cute cartoon form and a horrifying malformed monster dripping with ink. This duality is the thin line between entertainment and horror, innocence and corruption. As victims wander through the studio's halls, Bendy stalks them, appearing suddenly when least expected. The most terrifying aspect of Bendy is that he was born from human greed and ambition gone wrong. Joey Drew's desire to bend reality through his cartoons created something that should never have existed in our world. Bendy is what happens when we try to bring fantasy into reality without understanding the consequences. Bigby, the big bad wolf from Foxymation's horror series, takes a childhood fairy tale character and turns him into something truly disturbing. Unlike the traditional wolf who simply wants to eat little pigs or a girl and her grandmother, this wolf is a deliberate sadist who revels in the suffering of others. Why is this version of the big bad wolf so disturbing? Simple, his origin. He was once human, a young man driven to madness after bullies burned down his home. This trauma turned him into a killer. However, it was his own choice to make a deal with a witch to become an immortal wolf-like creature, allowing him to continue his reign of terror indefinitely. The wolf's evil nature is exemplified by his dual appearance. In his normal state, he appears almost friendly with light gray fur and a somewhat cute appearance, but this is merely a front designed to lure victims closer. His true form shows darker fur, wide eyes with tiny pupils that leak dark liquid, and a horrifying grin filled with razor-sharp teeth. The most chilling aspect of the wolf is his enjoyment of the hunt. He doesn't kill out of necessity or even revenge anymore. It's now because he finds pleasure in it. His attack on Little Red Riding Hood shows this perfectly. He doesn't simply ambush her. He plays with her, pretending to be friendly as he directs her to her grandmother's house, then goes ahead to brutally murder the old woman. When Red arrives, he torments her by revealing what he's done before attacking her as well. Even when wounded by a hunter who attempts to save his victims, the wolf shows no pain, only laughing maniacally before tearing the man's face off. His awareness of his own cruelty without remorse makes him all the more frightening. Thragg. Thragg from the Invincible comic series is a special kind of evil born from a lifetime of indoctrination and a belief in racial superiority. Unlike Aku, who finds twisted joy in his destruction, Thragg's cold calculation makes his evil somehow more disturbing. As the strongest Viltrumite, a race of superhuman aliens, Thragg was bred from birth to be the perfect warrior and leader. He believes absolutely in the superiority of the Viltrumite race and their right to conquer and rule over lesser species. His dedication to this cause is so complete that he will sacrifice anything and anyone to ensure the continuation of his people's empire. After Emperor Argal's death, Thragg was tasked with finding the Emperor's heir. However, when a virus nearly wiped out the Viltrumite population, he abandoned this mission, believing himself more worthy to lead. This shows his willingness to betray even his most sacred duty when it serves his ambition. Thragg's physical prowess puts him in a league of his own. He's able to defeat Omni-Man, himself a planet-conquering Viltrumite, with ease and can go toe-to-toe with multiple high-tier superheroes simultaneously. This raw power makes his evil all the more threatening. There are few forces in his universe capable of stopping him. The true horror of Thragg comes from his breeding program. After discovering that Viltrumite human hybrids can inherit the strengths of both species, he forces Viltrumite women to breed with human men, creating an army of children loyal only to him. He raises these children as weapons, teaching them to kill without mercy or question. One of Thragg's most chilling moments comes when he murders Oliver Grayson, the half-Viltrumite son of Omni-Man, right in front of young Tara. As he kills the boy, he coldly remarks, "Look at this blood of Argal. Just looks like blood to me." This casual dismissal of a life he's just taken, especially one with royal blood he was once sworn to protect, reveals the true emptiness at his core. Dio Brando. Dio Brando is one of anime's most iconic villains, and for good reason. From the very beginning of JoJo's bizarre adventure, Dio establishes himself as someone willing to crush anyone who stands in his path to power. Born into poverty with an alcoholic father, Dio might seem like a sympathetic character at first, but any potential for redemption quickly vanishes when we see him poison his own father for personal gain. His evil truly blossoms when he's adopted into the Joestar family, where he dedicates himself to destroying his new brother Jonathan's life out of pure jealousy and ambition. What places Dio higher on our list than the previous villains is the sheer scale and longevity of his evil. Not content with merely ruining one man's life, Dio sacrifices his humanity by using an ancient stone mask to become a vampire, granting himself immortality and supernatural powers. This transformation is his complete rejection of humanity in favor of power. Dio's evil spans generations. After his initial defeat, he returns over a century later with Jonathan's stolen body, now simply calling himself Dio in all capitals, as if his ego needed the emphasis. He becomes the nemesis of not just Jonathan, but the entire Joestar bloodline, bringing suffering across decades. His stand ability, the world, which allows him to stop time, perfectly represents how he sees himself. He sees himself as godlike, above the natural laws that bind others. He doesn't just want to rule, he wants to reshape reality itself according to his vision, pursuing a concept he calls heaven. What makes Dio particularly evil is his charisma. Unlike villains who work alone, Dio gathers devoted followers who worship him almost religiously. He destroys lives. He corrupts souls, turning good people into willing servants of his cause. His sexual charisma and manipulative abilities allow him to father several children who he then abandons or uses as pawns. Bondrewd. Bondrewd the novel, also known as the Lord of Dawn, is a special kind of horror. The evil that comes dressed in the robes of scientific progress and necessity. As a legendary white whistle delver who has made groundbreaking discoveries about the abyss, Bondrewd commands respect even from those who are aware of his methods. What makes Bondrewd particularly disturbing is his complete detachment from conventional morality. He doesn't view himself as evil, merely as someone willing to make the necessary sacrifices for knowledge. This self-justification makes him more terrifying than villains who revel in their wickedness. Bondrewd's experiments on children place him high on our list. He uses orphans as test subjects, turning them into inhuman creatures through the abyss's curse. His most notorious experiment, the Blessing, involved sacrificing children to protect others from the abyss's curse through a device called the Zooaholic, which transfers the curse affliction to another body. What's truly chilling about Bondrewd is his genuine affection for his victims. He remembers the names and ambitions of each child he sacrifices, honoring their contribution to his research. This twisted form of respect makes his actions all the more disturbing. He sees the children not as victims, but as necessary martyrs for scientific progress. Bondrewd's preparation for the 2,000-year cycle justifies all his atrocities in his mind. He believes his research is necessary to save humanity from some greater catastrophe, showing how the most heinous acts can be committed in the name of the greater good. His technological innovations make him uniquely dangerous. Through the Zooaholic artifact, Bondrewd can transfer his consciousness between multiple bodies, making him virtually immortal. This allows him to continue his research indefinitely, unconcerned with his own mortal limitations. Perhaps most disturbing is Bondrewd's relationship with his daughter Prumhy. He raises her with genuine love and affection, even as he conducts experiments on other children. This duality shows his compartmentalized psychology. He can be both loving father and monstrous researcher simultaneously. Johan Liebert. Johan Liebert, the main antagonist of Naoki Urasawa's Monster, is something more disturbing than supernatural threats. The possibility that pure evil can exist within an ordinary human being. Johan was born in East Germany during the Cold War. He and his twin sister Nina were part of an experiment called 511 Kinderheim, designed to create perfect soldiers through psychological conditioning. While this background might explain some villains, Johan transcends his circumstances. As one character observes, Johan didn't become a monster because of the experiment failed because of Johan. This suggests his darkness may be innate, something born rather than made. What makes Johan uniquely terrifying is his complete absence of typical villainous motivations. He doesn't desire wealth, power, or revenge. He doesn't have a tragic backstory that explains his actions. He simply exists as a void, an emptiness that consumes everything around it. As he chillingly states when asked why he kills, why not? Johan's methods set him apart from other villains. He rarely kills directly, preferring to manipulate others into murder or suicide. He can identify the darkness in ordinary people and nurture it until they commit atrocities they never thought possible. He turns children against parents, friends against friends, and can convince seemingly normal people to commit murder with just a few conversations. His physical appearance adds to his disturbing nature. Described as beautiful and angelic with blonde hair and blue eyes, Johan's appearance is the perfect mask for his soulless interior. This contrast between his exterior and interior makes him the perfect predator. No one suspects him until it's too late. While the Boiled One attacks the mind through supernatural means, Johan corrupts through nothing more than words and understanding, proving human evil can be more frightening than any cosmic horror. Perhaps most chilling is Johan's nihilistic philosophy. He sees all human life as meaningless, believing that true equality exists only in death. Who's your most notorious fictional villain? Share your thoughts in the comments below and tell us who you think should have made our list, or who you think does not deserve their spot. Don't forget to subscribe for more dives into the darkest characters across fiction, and hit the notification bell to catch more of our videos.